welcome to the McFarland Report. I'm Kenneth McFarland, and tonight we're going to continue our conversation about education. Now, we have as our guest the State Representative Gary Chism, and he is the former Lowndes County Board of Education member and currently serves on the university and the college committee. Welcome to the McFarland Report.
Thank you for allowing me to be here tonight.
Oh, we're glad to have you. And not only do we have Mr. Chism, but we have Mr. Chuck Yarborough, a history instructor and the Mississippi School of Math and Science, and a vice president of the Franklin Academy PTA. Is that you?
That's me. Thanks so much, Kenneth. Happy to be here.
We're glad to have you gentlemen here. We have a lot of questions to put before you, and I know that the audience, they're waiting on your responses. This is a great time. Let me start with you, Mr. Chism. In the Mississippi, there are about 750,000 children under the age of 18. A third of them live in poverty, just one of many challenges they face. So first, public school education is critical for our youth. Can you tell us how education is funded in Lowndes County?
Yes, Kenneth, it's by local, state, and federal dollars that funds education. From the state level, 48% of our entire general fund budget goes to K-12 education. When you add in community colleges and IHL, it's 66%. So we fund all other functions of state government with 34% of the money. So education is our #1 priority.
Now, what part of that, percentage of that, is state versus federal?
Well, I can really do it better by saying what is local, state, and federal. In Columbus, it's about 33% local, 50% state, and about 16% federal. In Lowndes County, it's a little bit different. Each district is a little bit different, and it's about 32% local and 55% federal, state, and only about 12% federal.
As a state representative, you deal with not only the state, but you deal with the federal coming in as well. Tell us a little bit about what you do exactly as a state representative.
Well, really, we just, the federal money that comes down is sort of a pass-through. Mm-hmm. They send the money down to us, and then we pass it on to the school boards and the school districts.
Right.
For state money, we as I indicated, 48% of our general fund budget is through what we call the Mississippi Adequate Education Plan, which is a formula based upon 4 or 5 different factors, but the main one is the average daily attendance. How many students do you have in your class over a period of a year? In your district over a period of a year.
So it's important to keep them coming.
That is one of the main things. If you can have them attending school on a regular basis, you're going to receive more money than a district that doesn't.
Oh, great. Now, No Child Left Behind is a federal program, but how does it impact how each state handles education funding?
Well, the No Child Left Behind really is the more of the accountability function. Although Mississippi sort of led the way in that, in the year 2000, we had the Student Improvement Act that required mandatory testings in grades 3 through 8. The No Child Left Behind did that same thing, except it even made it more. We did it in odd years, 3, 5, 7. They wanted it done every year. And then also some more in the high school areas. So it's more of the accountability function. But Mississippi led the way in already having some of that. So all we had to really do is tweak it when it came down to implementing the No Child Left Behind.
So you get more money if you basically stay with that.
That's right. It's really based upon the old chapter or Title I programs, and it's based upon poverty and disadvantaged children. That's how the money comes down to the state, and then we disperse it out to the districts based upon their poverty level.
That is so great. Thank you so much. Now, Mr. Yarborough, now you are a teacher and a parent. Can you give us a first-hand account on how No Child Left Behind has played out in our city school curriculums and testing, and are you seeing any results with that?
Well, sure. I think there's a lot to celebrate in Columbus and in Lowndes County about the success of our public schools. Columbus Municipal School District is doing amazing things with a population of about 2/3 economically disadvantaged students, which is on par with the state average. About 2/3 of our students in Mississippi come from economically disadvantaged families. We know all of the national studies suggest that it takes about 40% more money to adequately educate an economically disadvantaged child. Columbus schools and Lowndes County schools are both dealing with a high percentage of economically disadvantaged students and doing so very successfully. In our school, my 3 children are at Franklin Academy, Mississippi's first free public school, and we're very proud of that historic nature.
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah, I mentioned we're filming at Court Square Towers, and I'm looking out the window at that beautiful school, and I really appreciate it, being able to sit here and do this. But the bottom line is what we're seeing is excellent teachers in both Columbus and in Lowndes County who are getting good results with a challenging population to work with, essentially. And it's fundamentally important that we continue to adequately fund these public schools as well as the public schools across the state. The future of this community is dependent upon that. In Franklin, we're seeing a continued success that really, I think, predated No Child Left Behind, as Representative Chism said. Mississippi teachers and administrators have been doing a fine job getting the people in this state educated with relatively small amount of money to do it with.
No, you've said all the positives about No Child Left Behind.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any backdrops, anything that educators or even parents would not like about No Child Left Behind?
Well, I think all parents are concerned that if you allow some kind of standardized testing to drive a curriculum, that would be a problem. I can't speak for other schools because my children are at Franklin Academy, but that's not happening at Franklin. What appears to be happening at Franklin under the wonderful leadership now of Principal Billy Smith, in fact, she's the first African American, I believe, to be the principal of our first free public school in the state, is that the teachers and the staff have been focused upon maintaining excellence in education, regardless of whether or not they're trying to meet some kind of standardized test score.
So the key is the teachers and also the parents.
Yeah, and we've got high parent involvement. The best schools have that, and we're getting encouragement to do that from the district office, and I think the same thing is happening in the county.
On the state level, the No Child Left Behind has some unfunded mandates in it. We spend about $4 million a year for those additional tests.
That's the state.
That's the state does, and so it is a drawback to it. It also has some teeth in it if a school is not performing. That they can remove the teacher, they can remove the principal, superintendent, and even the board. Now, we haven't ever had a district that has had to go that far, but there has been principals and teachers removed who did not meet the yearly progress and showed that they need additional training. We do all of those things before that situation gets to that. But it's making sure that we get our money's worth is what No Child Left Behind, and it's accountable, that children know how to read at certain ages and know math on grade level. And so it's very important that the accountability portion of it be there.
Now, this is mandated by the federal government.
This isn't mandated by the federal government, but again, we had that already in place, some of that, with that student.
But the local school board actually make this happen when a teacher or a principal has to be moved?
Well, if they don't, the state will step in and do it for them.
And so they will lose that.
That's right.
Okay, that funding is very important. Now, Mr. Chism, the Mississippi Department of Education has unveiled redesignating or redesigning education for the 21st century. The workforce in Mississippi, can you let our viewers know about this plan?
Kenneth, I've only heard this thing once, so I'm going to have to look at some notes when I go through this thing, and I talked to the state superintendent yesterday about it. It's really designed to do something about the 40% dropout rate. Now, I noticed in the Clarion Ledger today that we may be a little better than that. It may be only 33%, which both of them are atrocious.
Correct.
We know if somebody doesn't have a GED or high school diploma that their life and their future is dismal.
It's very.
And what you can really think of in this new redesign is a workforce development school. That's what it's, a workforce development center is sort of what they're trying to do. They're trying to move quicker into technology. In the 7th grade, It's called Information and Communication Technology 1. And it's going to allow them to be using computers for basic operation and keyboarding and word processing, publishing, and spreadsheets in the 7th grade. Now, we know, I'm not very good on a computer, but we know that young children, they can already type. They can already do things on their internet.
A lot of games and stuff they play on those things and help them along in that area as well.
Exactly. So it's moving them faster to that technology. In the 8th grade, it's called Technology 2. And it's doing database applications, design, graphic design, networking, how to take a course online, you know, in the 8th grade. So we know that we're going to hone in on some of those skills that we know that they're going to need if they do drop out. They would at least be familiar with some of that technology that's out there. Then in the 9th grade is called Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics. And it's preparing students for the 21st century workforce. It's got human services technology, healthcare technology, financial, economic, and business technology. Those are some things that they're going to be able to go in different modules and see what you want to be when you grow up. What kind of course of study do you want to pursue?
So they're being a little bit more specific and getting it started early on.
That's exactly right. Then see, for the high school in the 10th grade, you can choose 7 courses of study. And now they're generalized to, there's been studies done on what the job trends will be, you know, in the 21st century. And these are categorized into 7 areas. One of them is healthcare, then agriculture and natural resources, construction and manufacturing, transportation, business management and marketing, science, technology, engineering and math, and human services. We will tailor you a high school curriculum that will go along with that so that you can either get a job in the workforce or go to a community college off of these 7 things, 7 pathways.
I like the way you said the tailor-made, because what's happening now is, and I don't know, you guys are a little bit older than I am, but I can remember when they had these things such as welding. You took classes so that you could work in the workforce. Computers are important, but that's not all it takes in order to run this great country. Are you going to get something done about going back to that area?
They are refocusing, yes, on the vocational programs, the ones to where you can learn the basic elements of it in high school and then go out to a community college and get your skills upgraded so that you can find a job.
Are there any other actions that the Mississippi Department of Education is going to be dealing with?
Well, that's about all of this particular program of redesigning the high schools, and it's really focused on trying to do something with that dropout rate. If you do drop out, we've got some skills. You will have some skills, hopefully, before you do drop out, that will encourage you to maybe do something online.
Oh, that's great.
Because we know that we're going to have to continually re-educate ourselves because technology is growing so fast.
And Mississippi is in the forefront of this.
Mississippi's in the forefront.
I like hearing that.
Yes.
We constantly hear about we're at the bottom of everything. I'm glad to hear that we are moving some things so people can follow us.
Yes.
I talk about that later. Mr. Yarborough, and I'm talking about this 40% dropout rate that we've been discussing a lot, with a number of initiatives being launched to address it. What other serious issues face our children success in education?
Well, I'm excited about the effort to address the dropout rate in Mississippi. It is a real problem. Ultimately, we need to talk about increased state funding to make that happen. Representative Chism is correct in saying that about 40% of the state general fund goes to fund K through 12 education, but as a total overall percentage of the entire state budget, which is more than just the general fund, K through 12 funding is about 21% or so. So it's laudable that the state legislature appropriates funding for our schools, but we still rank 48th in education funding in the United States. We have the highest percentage of economically disadvantaged children of any state in the United States, and yet Standard & Poor's says that our public schools are outperforming what you would expect based upon those economic figures. To my way of thinking, this program is wonderful. The programs that are already in place in our public schools are wonderful, and we need to adequately fund them. We're going to need to ask the state legislature to bump up funding for my children over there across the street, but not just my children. Yeah,
okay.
Well, not just my children, but for the entire community. We know, the link will tell you, Joe Higgins and those folks will say, education is a major issue in recruiting people for industry. It's going to be a major issue in us keeping the Columbus Air Force Base open. It's a major issue in keeping our successful universities. Our public schools are doing a very fine job, I would say. Like I said, with a deck that's kind of stacked against them a little bit. And we know what it takes to be successful in funding education. We just need to step up and do that.
Now, all of this that we're talking about is most important. This is why we're so interested in having these type of conversations, because our public, the people of this community and others all across Mississippi need to know exactly what's going on so that we can do a better job. Did I say that correctly?
Sure.
So we can better do a better. I like it.
Yeah, we like it. We understand you.
We're coming right back, and we're going to ask our guests about legislation to help education, and also to our parent here and teacher, the importance of parent involvement. You stay with us.
Will Colum's dad used to say, if you don't keep your promises, you can promise anything. At the Colum Law Firm, we always try to keep our promises in keeping our community safe from those who pollute it, those who fail to protect our workers, and those who deceive their customers. Some lawyers promise a fast buck, something for nothing. We ask juries for what's fair. Nothing more, nothing less. The Colum Law Firm, a different kind of lawyer.
On-Time Transportation, Stephen and Paula James would like to serve you. Professional service 24 hours a day. Call them at 662-241-6600 or go to their website www.ontime-ms.com.
Give us a call at On-Time Transportation, where we will meet all of your transportation needs on time.
Serenity Christian Supplies, located at 1906 Military Road, Columbus, Mississippi. Call us at 662-328-4445. We want to supply all of your Christian supply needs. Here at Serenity Christian Supplies, we have it all. Pete and Anika Perkins, realtors at JTS and Company. Call them at 662-329-9090 or 662-242-1694. They are located on 114 4th Street South, or write them, P.O. Box 1071, Columbus, Mississippi 39703. Call Pete and Anika Perkins. They are the family that can get you into a home. Welcome back to the McFarland Report. I'm Kenneth McFarland, and I'm joined by State Representative Gary Chism and the teacher and parent for the day, Chuck Yarborough. Our topic today is education. Now, Mr. Chism, can you discuss the Mississippi Board of Education's legislation priority for 2007?
Theirs is really dealing with money, money, money. Their request is for, I believe, $158 million to fully fund the Mississippi Adequate Education Plan. Now, a month ago, I would have said that we would not have been able to do that this year because we got saddled with a bill on Medicaid for $90 million, and that we were going to have to fund it. We have been doing a particular program with Medicaid for a number of years, and the federal government told us that we were doing it incorrectly and we had to pay for the program, or pay the federal government back for this program. However, in the last few weeks, the governor has been able to successfully get $120 million that he would be able to, we could use that money to fund and pay back the federal government the $90 million. So that would leave us money that might be able to do the fully funding of MAEP. Last year we passed a stair-stepped approach to funding MAEP. and I think that it requires $90 million. It's like 60 million, so 150 minus 60 million would be 90 million. So that may be a way that we can fully fund MAEP this year. Okay. And we should fund MAEP, and hopefully that we can. During the last 3 years, we've been struggling with a downturn in state revenues. Now we've got an upturn in state revenues, so we may be able to come through and fund it.
Can you let us know what MAEP is?
Mississippi Adequate Education Plan.
Okay, I should have known
right.
that.
And what it is they take 10 school districts that are level 3, mm-hmm. and they average it together of what it cost per pupil. And then you get your money based upon that average. And there's some more factors in it for transportation and food service and other ancillary things, but that's primarily the funding formula for all 151 school districts in the state of Mississippi. They also have got a proposal to add to the MAEP a 5% disadvantaged add. In other words, the more disadvantaged a school district is, they would get an additional 5%. Because just as Mr. Yarborough had said a while ago, it does cost more sometimes when parents and children and families don't have the means, that some other parents have, some other children have. Then there's a teacher pay raise in there. This is election year. Mm-hmm. Teacher pay raises are always important. I think $33 million worth of that's in there also. Their total request is something like $350 million. Now, new money that's coming into Jackson that we anticipate is going to be something like $300 million. So you can see why I said that if we had to pay the $100 million back to Uncle Sam, we were going to be in big trouble.
You have some decisions to make.
That's right.
Now, Mr. Yarborough, do you agree with these priorities? And as a parent, what are some of the priorities you think?
Well, I think it's absolutely important to fully fund the Mississippi Adequate Education Program. The MAEP is designed to provide enough money for every school district in the state to basically provide a level 3 education. But it's even more important than that to be able to provide a superior education, a level 5 by our school ranking system. And we've already talked about the wonderful job that Columbus Municipal School District is doing, as well as the Lowndes County Schools. That kind of educational opportunity is already present in Lowndes County and in Mississippi in general. The teachers are doing a fabulous job, and are the administrators. We've just got to make sure that we fully fund those programs. We cannot continue to count on people doing more with less over and over and over again. That's been the story of our state, and I'm proud to say it's a successful story for the most part. Mississippi does lead the entire Southeast in the percentage of high school graduates that go on to college. It's about 65%. That's almost 10% higher than the national average. So we've got success stories to tout, and Mississippi is a leader in a lot of ways. Imagine what we could do if our per pupil expenditure was not $6,700 per student per year, which is 48th in the nation, but was just somewhere closer to the national average, which is about $9,500. And there are studies that say that if you increase per pupil expenditure by 1%, it increases the median family income by about 1.4%. In a state which ranks last in per capita income, increased education spending makes sense.
So both of you agree that funding is obviously the key.
Yeah.
So how can we make sure we get this money necessary to fund education?
Well,
I'll let you answer that one.
First off, there's not going to be a tax increase to do it. I just really believe, as I indicated earlier, that it's going to be a priority this year. It's been a priority every year. Mm-hmm. But, there's just not been enough money down there to fully fund the MAEP. And I really believe, though, with this additional revenue that we've received off of sales tax revenues from Katrina, people are buying automobiles, they're buying appliances, they're buying furniture. Our sales tax revenue is of some $50 million in just 4 months of this year. So I think that we're going to have enough money in the pipeline to be able to do that. And I know it's going to be a priority this year, it being an election year. But also pay raises for teachers and community colleges and IHL and state employees is going to have to be factored in there too.
Oh, that is great. You got it going on. Okay, Mr. Yarborough, we spoke with a parent involved with the PTA, and I know you know on the previous show her name is Lori Pierce.
That's right.
Now, she talked about the importance of parents being involved with their kids' education. What are your thoughts on this?
Oh, it's got to happen. We know, I mean, everybody knows that involved parents equals successful schools. Successful schools have teachers and administrators that encourage parent involvement. You know, in Columbus, Ms. Pierce is the PTA president at Sale Elementary, and there is an effort underway right now to launch a brand new PTO council so that parents can talk across the district. We have a very high rate of parent involvement at our school across the street, Franklin Academy, and we're real proud of that. The same is undoubtedly true at Caledonia, New Hope, West Lowndes, and the county school district. But we've got to make sure that we foster a community that supports involvement and support of our children in our schools. And when I say our children, I don't mean just mine, I mean our community's children. The future of Columbus and Lowndes County is all about parents, adults taking responsibility for educating their kids. And I mean all of our kids.
Now we have a few minutes, but I want to give you an opportunity, both of you, an opportunity to speak to our audience now. Some final thoughts from both of you on what message you hope the viewers take from this segment regarding education. And you can turn there right there and talk to them, and they'll hear you. Just give us a bit. Let's start with you as a parent, and then we want to talk to our representative so that he can let us know exactly what we need to do from his standpoint.
Well, I think parent involvement is the key. You who are parents out there, or you who are grandparents, or aunts and uncles, church members who care about the future of this community, you've got to get involved in your schools. And that involvement means volunteering. It means supporting children as they try to do their homework. It also means contacting our state legislators and senators and encouraging them to make sure that we keep education a first priority in the state, and fully funding that education is absolutely essential.
And Mr. Chism?
We need to get with the same enthusiasm for academics as we do for athletics. And that means the whole town to get involved in it. We know that we're only scratching the surface with all this new industry that's coming in here. But if we don't have the education and an educated workforce out there, you know, we're going to miss the boat. So we need to get that same enthusiasm and get the parents and the whole community involved in it.
You're good. You're very good. I like that. Just education as well as athletics. We need to move that priority around. That's the McFarland Report for another week. Thank you, Representative Gary Chism, and our parent and teacher, Chuck Yarborough. Next week on the McFarland Report, we'll begin a series of programming focusing on economic development for our area. My guest will be Joe Higgins, CEO of the Columbus Lowndes Development Link. Until next Sunday at 5:30 p.m., I'm Kevin McFarland with the McFarland Report. Have a great week.